Hello ladies, gentlemen, and my NB friends, and welcome back to the Kelde channel. I'm your host, Kelde, and today we're going to be looking at the new Outer Worlds 2 gameplay trailer. This dropped during the Game Awards, which was pretty hype at the time. As I've done before with Metaphor and Persona 3 Reload, I have sat down and stared at this trailer making notes, and now I will go over the things that I noticed that are worth mentioning. I love the Outer Worlds, and that's really no secret, but this trailer does everything right, and I'm so happy to see more promotion for this game leading up to release. And that's coming from me, the most cynical prick on the planet. Without further ado, let's begin breaking down the Outer Worlds 2 official gameplay trailer. Disclaimer, yada yada, the game isn't out yet and everything shown is subject to change. I feel the need to say this every time because people, myself included, will always complain about how rough and unpolished something in the trailer is. While I can acknowledge flaws in something, I know that we're only seeing a singular forced perspective of what's on display, and that there's a good chance it will be improved before release. I'm not saying this to excuse anything in the trailer we're about to watch, but rather to give myself the excuse to talk openly about the first trailer of gameplay to be revealed for the game, and also poke fun at a few things. The trailer opens with these shots of this area. I wonder if this area will be like the Groundbreaker of this game. For the uninitiated, the Groundbreaker was a playable zone in the Outer Worlds that basically had every type of vendors and contacts that you'd want. It was a hub area you had to go to for the main quest, but that you'd tend to return to after you left because there's just a hub of useful NPCs. I wonder if this area will act similarly to it. It looks very similar, you know, it's a kind of a smaller urban area, but I don't know if it's going to be like the Groundbreaker where that's all there is, or if it's just a smaller urban area that's part of a larger map. All of that said, this area fits with the Outer Worlds aesthetic and looks quite nice. Next we have this sign talking about Zero G Brew. Two things with this. First, I feel like this product will somehow be intertwined with the main story of the game and lead to some of the things we'll see later on in the trailer. Secondly, I noticed that it says Auntie's Choice as a combination of Auntie Cleo's and Spacer's Choice, the two biggest corps in the Halcyon system. If this fictional product is the cause of something greater in the colony, then it's not really surprising that these two corps are the ones behind it, teaming up nonetheless. I'm curious to see if and how this fits into the story. What is that Shadow the Hedgehog-esque gunshot sound effect? I want it in the final game. Please let that be the actual sound. I also want to point out that this weapon is a quite simple pistol in nature and shows up a lot in the trailer. Is this the new light pistol? If so, that'd be really cool. At the very least, I'd love to see it if it was just a common variant. It looks a bit like a Mauser, and I love the retro-futuristic design of a classic gun. It fits right in, while also being very identifiable, which is great. Punching is whatever. I hope this is just a typical offhand melee attack for the sidearm and not like this new feature introduced. The Outer Worlds worked because of its simple nature. The last thing I really want is to overcomplicate things with more features that really just don't need to be there. Am I reading too much into this? Probably. Do I think it's a fair point to be worried about? Yes. Also, look at this smoke effect. Jesus Christ. Look at these guys. Their armor is different. It's new. It's cool. I hope we get less standardized troop armor from the first game and actually get different models and stuff for these outfits because look at them. They look neat. I love the focus on weapons here because the science weapons, hell, even the base weapons in the Outer Worlds were all pretty fun to use. These two heavy weapons especially though look good. You get this thing, but also a blooming meat cannon? Just the design of this is wicked and bizarre. Definitely a science weapon of some sort, but man is it cool. Also the enemy here just has an honest to god minigun. Heavy weapons were my least favorite part of the original and thus I never really used them. After what we see here though, I genuinely might try them out on my first playthrough of the sequel. They seem to be so neat and varied in their designs. Also, is this Monarch? We see some new locations in the trailer and I'm really excited for that, but I'm really hoping they do something interesting with the existing planets. Ideally, it'll be really hard to account for every possibility the player could have made with places like Edgewater or Monarch, but I'm hoping the devs have cooked up some interesting story bits to keep the universe fresh. Also here with the meat cannon, we see a new area. This area looks cool and militaristic. It's quite different from what we're used to. But we also see new outfits on some lads over there. More cosmetic variety is always a good thing, and I'm loving these outfits too. Beauty shots look good. They don't look exactly like the first game. There's definitely some improvement. That said, what they're showing doesn't look as weird as the Spacer's Choice version of the game, so that's a plus. That game looked technically good, but very uncanny. It didn't fit the aesthetic at all. We also see this facility on a snow planet. I love snow and cold environments. I am excited to explore this. It just looks great and fits right in with what we've come to expect. It doesn't look out of place at all. This gun is exactly what one could ask for. It looks unique, fits the vibe, and it looks as though it's capable of shredding enemies too. If this is a science weapon, then it's an expertly designed science weapon purely from a visual standpoint. I mean, look at this. It has these tubes running along the sides. You reload it by attaching a giant canister to the bottom. It fires a shitload of lasers, but it has the modern nuts and bolts look to it as well. It's shaped with silver metal, poor iron sights, literal screws, an ejection port for reasons. I mean, it looks great. Here we see the snow planet again and this weird distortion effect. I mean, the effect looks great and will come into play in a moment, I think. But I mean, man, this area is nice looking. It looks a bit bland, but I'm personally very excited to explore Snow and Ice Planet in Halcyon. This Raptidon has a helmet. Now, there really hasn't been anything that signifies companions are going to be in this game, but I think it's reasonable to assume that they will be here. I am hoping that this specific Raptidon here is a usable companion. We don't see it outside of this shot, and I mean, that would be amazing. It'd be like how Sam was a companion, but just this silly little scrunkly, and I am here for it. Missile launcher that levitates the hit enemy, not too dissimilar to the gloop gun from the first game, but we also see this, a heavy hunk that fires a sphere of plasma straight through enemies. I cannot think of an eloquent way to phrase this. This is fucking awesome. This is what you want to see from unique weapons. Like, a lot of the science weapons from the first game were cool, but most just weren't great to practically use outside of a specialized build. To learn more, check out my video where the point I want to make here is that we've seen weapons that look cool, but now we're seeing weapons that just look effective. Again, a lot of the weapons felt great to use in the Outer Worlds, but man, this just looks killer. Visually, this is great, and I mean, just seeing the application of it, it seems like it'll be a pretty effective weapon to use as well. I mean, it's probably a late game weapon, but still, it looks so devastating and does so in its own unique way. Brilliant. Here we see some of the stealth nonsense where you strap a thingy to your face. Okay, so here's my crazy theory. That distortion from the planet and these people, which only seem to appear in this weird stealth dimension thing, are all linked to that Auntie's Choice 0G brew thing from the beginning. It's just a theory, but I think it's a safe call. This whole system in and of itself seems weird and gimmicky. Will this replace the tactical time dilation? Hi, this is Kira from Post. It turns out that this was wrong and I didn't cut this out of the script for some reason, and I just read it when I was recording VO. I don't know why I did that. So to just ignore that part, please. Thank you. Will it actually be a core feature that's needed, or will it be an optional thing like the holographic shroud? Again, these enemies don't show up in the room until you put this thing on. They have this black distortion thing coming off of them too, so something's at play here narratively. But how integral and seamless will this be with the core gameplay? That's all I really care about, really. We do see the enemies are highlighted and we can see a dead person through the ceiling. Will this have applications outside of the intended use case? Will it be usable outside of specific scenarios? Out of everything in this trailer, this is what I'm most confused about and honestly most concerned for. I'm sure I'll be fine in the end, but this just seems like an odd tease to just throw in. And this is our only frame of reference. The only context we get to this system is just this shot. It's so bizarre. Here's one of those same models from the stealth augmented reality distortion thing, but he's a normal person. I thought the ghillie-like outfit was emblematic of the stealth from the system or something, but it doesn't seem to be that way. Why am I putting this in the video? Also a new bolter pistol perhaps? It looks different but seems to work similarly. It doesn't seem to be a burst, but rather a semi-automatic, which is actually fine. I'm impressed by how little is seemingly being reused. Of course, the trailer could just be showing us all the new stuff, but there's so much new, just thrown at us, I'm genuinely surprised. A grenade, revolver, purple distortion around the outside. Oh my lord, what a combo. Tactical time dilation is coming back, which is great. Also, grenades are here, which is awesome. I am excited to see what kind of unique and wild grenades will make their way into the game. Also, being able to shoot grenades out of the air is just awesome. A new application for tactical time dilation is welcome, and this is the obvious next step. The meat cannon makes a comeback and it fires flesh worms? This is the greatest weapon of all time. An ice double barrel that freezes enemies. That's neat, and I like the design of this one too. What's more interesting here though is that the grenades on the enemy's armor are lit up. I wonder if in TTD you can shoot the grenades and cause them to explode on the enemies that have them equipped. That would be so great, especially if these enemies aren't a dime a dozen. Like imagine you just see a group of enemies and you can like use tactical time dilation to just target the one, shoot the grenades, and deal splash damage to all of them. That would be really cool and different than what we had before. I'm looking forward to revisiting this video when the game comes out and see how many of these predictions I got wrong. Well, that's all I had in my notes, and that's really all I have for this trailer. It was an excellent trailer. I feel like it teased some story and narrative aspects, but more so than anything, it showed a select variety of weapons which all seem to fit their own niche. I'm really only worried about that AR stealth system, but that's just because it's new and out of left field. Now I'm mostly curious to see how they'll improve upon the existing level up and stat systems, the planets and open zones, companions, etc. I am so much looking forward to the full release, which is currently slated for a 2025 drop. I will be there day one and will probably love it. Let's be honest, I love the Outer Worlds. I love the first game. Again, it's not a secret, but it's obvious that Obsidian is aware that they need to do something to improve on the formula in some way for a sequel, and focusing on the core gameplay is a good start. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then please leave a like. If you're intrigued by my content, then consider subscribing or check out my recent videos. If you like the Outer Worlds, then please feel free to watch my reviews of Peril on Gorgon, Murder on Eridanos, or my video where I rank every science weapon from worst to best. That's all I had for you today. Thank you again, and have a great one. Okay, bye-bye.